Faith, freedom, and the Founding Fathers subjects brought up a lot during an election year, but how much of what you hear on the campaign trail about the Founding Fathers really lines up with who they were and what their hopes were for the United States? It's a focal point of If You Can Keep It, a brand new book out by author Eric Metaxas. He joins us now live to discuss that and the campaign and more. Eric, great to see you.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Shannon.
Listen, the book is so interesting in how you go back to the history of this country, the very roots, how it was put together, what the Founding Fathers thought about a lot of things, about virtue, about faith, and what they expected from us, the people who would come behind them and keep this very unique experiment going. I mean, we have obligations, do we not?
It's stunning, and to me, it was the reason I wrote the book was when this became clear to me what the founders required of the people. They said, if you can keep it, Benjamin Franklin famously said, here's a republic, if you can keep it. It dawned on me a few years ago that I, although I'd been reasonably well educated in American schools, didn't know the basics of what the founders had said we must know to be Americans, not to be good Americans, to be Americans. I was embarrassed, and I started looking into it, and then I said, I've got to start talking about this, and then finally I said, I've got to write this book. I want to put it in the hands of every single American. We need to know these things, otherwise we cannot keep the republic, and we're no longer being we the people. We're being governed from above by, you know, globalist overlords.
Well, and the way that they put together the Constitution was designed so that the people would have the power to push back against things they, as a country, as a group, didn't feel were appropriate or weren't the path that they wanted to take. But you touch on a point there that there is so much ignorance about the Constitution and how it came together. There's a lot of misinformation, too, specifically, I think, often about the founders' faith and people who will say that was never supposed to be part of the equation. But you present a lot of evidence that would suggest otherwise.
I'm telling you, it is absolutely astonishing and shocking. Every single one of the founders, now read my lips, every single one of the founders, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, all the way across, they all said faith must be at the center of the American experiment. They all agreed on this, not some of them. They all understood that faith and religious freedom had to be at the very center. In fact, virtue had to be at the center of self-government. They made this really clear. When I discovered this, I was astounded, so I put it all through the book so you can read all of the quotes. It's very simple once you understand it, but no one has talked about this for about 40 years, so I think we're in danger of losing the republic. We're in serious danger. We will lose. We are losing the republic unless we take this seriously.
I want to ask you, too, on the subject of faith. You were one of the people that were in the meeting with Donald Trump earlier this week with evangelicals and Catholics and other conservatives and religious folks who wanted to ask him some tough questions. You have been supportive of him. How well do you think he did in handling some of the concerns about religious liberty and some other issues?
Well, I was actually astounded that he seemed to really understand this. I didn't expect him to. I don't expect him to be conversant in the things of faith. And also, it's not that I've been so pro-Trump. I've been saying that if we are not sincerely against Hillary Clinton becoming the next president, we need to get really serious, because she would bring about the end of Republican democracy. All you need is a few more picks for the Supreme Court in the mold of Sotomayor and Ginsburg, and you effectively have people legislating from the bench. That's the end of democracy, and we're very close. We've already had a number of votes. You know, you cover the Supreme Court, Obergefell and another. It's very funny because the people think one thing, and they're finding all kinds of things in the Constitution that most reasonable people would say, I don't think it's there. It's very, very troubling. And so, yes, I think that people who would never be interested in Donald Trump are saying, look, he's the nominee, we need to get behind him, but we want to vet him, right? So he was there at that meeting the other day, and the first few things that he said, I was astonished. He said something about the 501c3, that a lot of people, pastors in pulpits, are afraid to speak out and to be bold. Why? Because they're afraid of losing their tax-exempt status. This was a thing, Lyndon Johnson initiated it in the 60s, that basically says if you get political in the pulpit, we can take away your tax-exempt status. That's basically anti-American, because when you're telling somebody what they can say and can't say, it's a little tricky to tell somebody in a pulpit you can't talk about that. And so Donald Trump seemed to get that, and most people in the room were stunned that he understood this, and he said we need to do away with that. You can't really be free unless you can speak your mind. I was amazed by that.
All right, well, Eric, the book is fascinating. I learned so much from it. I think every average American out there should have it on their bookshelf, and I hope you have much success in helping to educate us all about the responsibilities that we have. Eric, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'll be on C-SPAN today at 4:15. I know I can't say that.
Shameless
Tape it,
plug.
but watch Fox News.
Okay.
Watch Fox News.
See you later, Eric. Bye.